After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far. This is a pellet grill, so the basic idea is simple. I pour hardwood pellets into the hopper on the side, I plug the grill in, I set a temperature, and it handles feeding fuel to keep the heat where I want it. If you like the flavor of wood smoke but you do not enjoy babysitting a fire, this style of grill makes a lot of sense. It is also a good fit if you are coming from gas grilling, and you want something that can run for hours without you standing there adjusting vents. What made this one stand out for me is that it feels straightforward to live with. Some pellet grills feel like you need a whole routine just to get through a cook. With this one, once I learned the startup and shutdown steps, it became pretty predictable. The controller is the part you interact with the most, and the big thing here is that it tries to hold temperature steadily instead of swinging around. In real cooking, that matters more than staring at a feature list, because steady heat is what makes long cooks less stressful. On the outside, it has a clean, simple look. The bronze finish is not loud, and it does not look like it is trying too hard. It fits on a normal patio without taking over the entire space. The body feels sturdy when I open and close the lid, and nothing feels flimsy in my hands. It is not light, but it is also not impossible to move around. With the wheels and the side handle, I can roll it across my deck by myself, just slowly and carefully. The first setup was basically what I expected. I had to put a few parts together, then I loaded pellets and plugged it in. The startup is push button. It ignites on its own, and I did not have to mess with lighter fluid or chimney starters. Coming from charcoal, that part still feels a little strange, but it is also the reason people buy pellet grills. If I want to cook on a weeknight, I can get it going without turning it into a project. Daily use is where I think this grill either works for you or it does not. For me, the routine is easy. I check that there are enough pellets in the hopper, I vacuum or dump ash when it needs it, I line the grease bucket so cleanup is not gross, and I run the shutdown cycle when I am done. That shutdown cycle is important. You do not just turn it off and walk away. It runs the fan and finishes clearing things out for a bit, and then it is actually ready to be left alone. The first time I used it, I almost unplugged it out of habit, and that is one of those small learning curve moments with pellet grills. Cooking on it feels like a mix between smoking and oven roasting, with smoke flavor layered in. I did a pork shoulder early on because that is the kind of cook that tells you quickly if a pellet grill is going to be annoying or not. I set it in the mid-200s Fahrenheit and let it run. I checked it occasionally, mostly out of nervousness, and it held steady enough that I stopped thinking about it. That is the real value for me. I can prep sides, clean up the kitchen, or just do something else while the grill keeps doing its job. I also cooked ribs on it, and that is where I appreciated having enough space to spread things out. The main grate is big enough that I can do a couple racks without cramming them, and the upper rack is useful for smaller items or to keep food warm. In practice, it is enough room for a small group without playing a game of grill Tetris. The temperature range is wide enough that I can smoke low and slow and also cook hotter when I want to. I have used it around 225 to 250 Fahrenheit for long cooks, and I have also pushed it higher for chicken with crispier skin. It can get to 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and yes, you can cook burgers and steaks. I will say this though, pellet grills in general do not feel exactly like a ripping hot charcoal sear. You can get good results, but the style is a little different. If your whole life is all about hard searing over direct flame, you may need to adjust expectations. For me, I care more about consistent heat and the ability to run long cooks without drama. The meat probes are one of those features I actually use. I plug them in, insert them into the thickest part of the meat, and I can glance at the controller to see where I am. That means I open the lid less often, which helps the grill stay steady. It is not about being fancy, it just keeps me from hovering. I still double-check with my own instant read thermometer sometimes, especially on something expensive like brisket, but for general tracking, the probes do the job. Cleaning is another area where this grill feels practical. Ash cleanup on some smokers is messy enough that you put it off, and then it becomes a bigger problem. Here, there is a lever system that drops ash into a cup. When it is cool, I pull it out and dump it. I still do a deeper clean once in a while, but that quick ash dump keeps things from building up. Grease management is the usual story with a bucket on the side. I line it and I change it, and I do not pretend it is fun, but it is simple. I have used it in normal backyard conditions, including days with more humidity than I would like. One thing I noticed is the controller area can act a little finicky when the weather is nasty. I have seen the display look slightly glitchy in damp conditions. It did not ruin a cook for me, but it was enough that I started being more careful. When I am done, I cover the grill, and if rain is coming in sideways, I try to keep it under some cover. That is not unique to this grill, but it is worth saying out loud because electronics and weather do not always get along. One more practical point. This grill needs power. That sounds obvious, but the reality is you need a safe outdoor outlet situation. If you use an extension cord, it needs to be appropriate for outdoor use. I mention it because it affects where you can place the grill and how tidy your setup is. As far as the way it cooks, I have been happy with the smoke flavor for things like pork shoulder and ribs, and I have even done some basic baking on it just to see how even the heat feels. It behaves more evenly than I expected once it is up to temperature. Like any grill, you learn your hot spots over time, but I did not run into anything extreme. The lid thermometer is there, but I mostly trust the controller and my probes because that is what I am actually using to make decisions during the cook. If I had to sum up the strengths, it is the steady temperature control, the simple startup, the ash cleanout that makes routine maintenance easier, and the fact that it is not intimidating once you get used to the shutdown process. The limitations are also real. It is not the same as cooking over live coals. It relies on electricity. The controller can be sensitive in wet weather, and you do need to keep up with basic cleaning so grease and ash do not turn into performance issues. Overall, I think the Camp Chef SmokePro DLX PID Gen 2 pellet grill makes sense for someone who wants real smoked food with less hands-on fire management, and who wants a cooker that feels calm and predictable during long cooks. It has been easy to live with in my routine, and it has put out the kind of food I actually want to make on a regular basis. If this video helped, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or your own pellet grilling experiences. Thank you for watching.